Everybody loves wireless, but they don't like actually securing it. We need to know a little bit more. So find out more right here on IT Pro TV.
You're watching IT Pro TV.
All right, there's no doubt that there's a invisible layer of security that surrounds the idea here of wireless, but you as an engineer, you need to know more about it. So here, of course, to help us out, Anthony Sequeira. All right, Anthony, here it is. We need to talk about security once again. And wireless is one of those things, I kind of related it to something a little bit earlier, just wireless itself is so omnipresent now in our society and every place that we work. We don't think about the issue that we might have issues with it or the idea of security, but this is one of the most important concepts.
It really is. And, you know, the opinion of the average person has really changed on this one.
Oh, yeah.
When wireless was first invented, I remember people inside a corporation saying, that's never coming in here.
Right.
And, you know, I mean, they were just like, yeah, no way. From a security perspective, that's what they were worried about. And now today, it really does seem like it's gone completely the other direction, where it's like, oh yeah, we're just doing wireless. The reason the opinion has changed is a lot has evolved when it comes to security. Let's take a look at it, of course, in this episode. And let's go on a little history lesson. So first of all, not shown here is open. So no security. And you might say, well, you'd never do that. Whoa, wait a minute. I just configured that not too long ago. It was for a little restaurant. It's what are the places? They're so common now.
The hotspots.
Yeah. But it was in like a restaurant, but it's in one of the restaurants where you walk in and there's like a deli counter, you know, and you say what you're going to eat.
Right.
So
cafeteria?
Yeah, more like that environment.
Okay.
Yeah. Not a full-blown restaurant. Why am I going on about that?
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what the establishment was, but what they wanted to do was have Wi-Fi for the guests. And they wanted to ensure that no one bothered their staff, right? You know, is the password all uppercase or all lowercase? You know, they didn't want any of that going on. They wanted their customers to jump on and never have to ask anyone anything. And that is where you would create an open, totally non-secured environment. So they see, you know, ABC restaurant in the SSIDs, they click on it, they're in. No asking for any information. There are times where that's what you want. Now, I had to make sure that all of their other networking components could not be impacted by this like open environment. So that's the tricky part of that. So one step up from open is WEP. And what's funny about that is that was considered the best thing ever years and years ago. Wired equivalent privacy.
That's it.
That's saying, oh yeah, this is as secure as being on the wired network. And we know now that that was absolutely untrue. There were such security flaws in WEP, they had to go back to the drawing board. That created WPA. Unfortunately, that was quickly found to possess some flaws, and rather embarrassingly, some of the flaws were inherited from WEP. So that brought two versions that are now considered very secure. And what you would find in most environments today is WPA 2. It's what we're running here. It's what so many organizations are going to run. Both WPA 2 and a new and improved WPA 3, which I'm sure we'll see more and more of, they did something really smart with these protocols. They allow you to operate in a personal mode or an enterprise mode.
Right.
And that was so smart. The personal mode can use pre-shared keying information. So you go to the access point if you're in an autonomous access point environment, and you tell the access point, here's the super strong shared secret. And then, of course, you configure that on the client device, and you've got WPA2 security in a personal, easy to implement mode. If you want to go to the enterprise level, well, now you're doing 802.1x, and you are giving this good, strong security with good, strong authentication, but you may need to add a full-blown ICE server and all of these components to add the additional layers of security beyond the simple pre-shared key approach. So really impressive that the WPA 2 and 3 standards that we have today give you those options of the level of strength that you are going to implement. And we talked about pre-shared keying. Notice here there's 3 common approaches that are involved with this whole security inside of the WPA2 or WPA3 that we're going to be working with. And the pre-shared keying we talked about. Let's talk about the second one up there. It's WebAuth. This is super interesting. You can have a situation where you don't want simple pre-shared keying, and in fact, you want to get information from the user. So let's say we have a guest area here at IT Pro TV. We have a guest SSID set up. And what we want to happen, Ronnie, is when a guest is in the lobby, we want them to see the IT Pro TV guest SSID. And when they click on it, we want them to be redirected to a web page. And on that web page, we're going to get from them their name. We're going to get from them their email address, put them on the mailing list. And then we're going to have them like click a box that says, if they do anything harmful using our connection, we're going to prosecute them or something like that. So that's WebAuth, and the Cisco equipment gives you so many different ways to do this. For example, if you have the Identity Service Engine, ICE, it can do the WebAuth itself. It's got a built-in web server where it can just handle that for you. Or it can redirect them to a full-blown web server in your organization. Or it could redirect them to a wireless LAN controller that has the built-in web service that'll be used. So lots of options there. And again, Cisco equipment is very flexible in how you can set that up. And then you talk about flexible, there's your EAP methodologies. I'll try another acronym, Extensible Authentication Protocol.
Absolutely.
And the E of extensible, I always remember, because this ends up allowing organizations to create variations. So you end up with LEAP, EAP Fast, PEEP, EAP TLS, EAP TTLS, EAP SIM, Cisco's invention, EAP LEAP. So these are all variations of extensible authentication protocol that are tailored for different environments. Maybe it's like, oh, we're in a Microsoft-centric world. We'll use an authentication style that plays perfectly with the Microsoft equipment. EAP Leap was a Cisco invention to be super fast and to be really tailored to what Cisco solutions offer. And one of the coolest things about this discussion is the wireless LAN controller can actually do local EAP. So you can do 802.1x and you can do it with no extra equipment.
Right.
Yeah, you don't need the big ICE server. You don't need all that extra stuff. The wireless LAN controller just does a local variation. And somewhat surprisingly, you can choose between LEAP, EAP Fast, PEEP, EAP TLS. It's got all of those variations built inside it that it's ready to handle for you. Well, this is not appropriate for this segment. That was a slide, a leftover from when we were teaching wireless just in general. So we don't need to talk about that. So when we discuss wireless security, be ready for things to change. We didn't go into detail on WPA3 because we don't need to at this time. But Ronnie and I, I'm sure, will be asked to refresh the Encore course in probably 24 months from now or something. And when we do, I'm sure we'll be going into great detail on WPA3 and probably introducing WPA4. So just expect things to continue to evolve here. I'll give you one little tidbit since we have the time, on WPA3. Let's talk about encryption. It used to be that with like WEP, the encryption mechanism inside was super weak. That was a problem. So WPA introduced the use of AES, the Advanced Encryption Standard. And one of the cool things about AES is that you can use various key lengths to give various strength. So there's AES 256, for example, which is really strong and is the standard for high security environments. Well, one of the clever things they did with WPA3 is they said nothing below like 192. Like they made a hard and fast rule that you can't even use WPA3 unless you're using a certain baseline of AES encryption. So those are the kinds of enhancements that are coming through with those new versions.
All right, Anthony. Well, this is an important topic for us to make sure that we get a good handle on, because more than likely the world is continuing to adopt more and more wireless that's out there. And that means our data that we're running across these devices are probably going to be more centered around things that we need to keep secret from prying ears, if we want to actually talk about it that way. So learn more about these different ones and realize that this is going to continue to change as the field continues to grow. Well, that's enough for this episode then. Signing off for IT Pro TV, I'm your host, Ronnie Wong.
And I'm Anthony Sequeira.
Stay tuned right here for more of your CCNP Encore show.
Thank you for watching IT Pro TV.